spent years trying to define data analyst to people, I've come up with several ways to try to define this role and the skills. It's important to note that most do not have a job title that contain the words data analyst. But if you have a data department, then they are likely to be called data analyst. Not all organizations have a dedicated data department, so you might be called an operations analyst or a marketing analyst. Your title likely has analyst in the title. There are also varying levels of data analyst, and you can be a data analyst and not know it, or be performing the skills of an analyst and have no idea that you are. A data analyst will have a deeper understanding of data systems and have more knowledge about database designs than a data worker. A data analyst will find they have a little more access to see tables and views of the databases. They probably have some basic SQL querying skills and may write SQL statements to gain access to data all the time. This varies by organization and access levels. A data analyst will have a better than average understanding of the data governance plan, because if you're a data analyst, you are going to be working under the policies and procedures that are established. Data analysts that are a few years in are likely to understand more about what questions to ask and research in general. Data analysts understand how to clean data and transform it to meet the requirements of the project. Data analysts also know how to create functions of varying types like conditional statements and logical statements. Data analysts work with statistics and most certainly at the beginning of their career, basic stats and aggregate functions. And certainly have learned how to connect data in a way that they can just refresh their data and update their visuals and reports. If you're looking for areas of growth, then you can go a little bit deeper into statistics. It's a must. Note that I said a little deeper, not a full statistician, which is another role entirely. You'll find the data sets you are developing might be used for different statistical tests, so it is important to have a basic knowledge. You can never have enough experience writing functions, and you definitely want to be able to write if functions, aggregate functions, and simple lookups. You must understand joins and how they impact data sets. And for the soft skills, active listening, data storytelling, and critical thinking. If you're realizing that you're a data analyst, then you might relate to being called a wizard at work. It is one thing to refine and add to a data set. It's an entirely different skill to be able to build data sets. I personally believe what most people consider as a data analyst in their organization may be performing data engineering tasks more than analysis tasks. The crossover between the analyst and the engineering skills are real. They share a lot of common foundational skills. A data engineer is someone who fully understands how to look at the data sets, knows how to refine them into smaller, more sensible sets for people to use. You may receive data from someone who is engineering that data from a set of queries and then providing it to you or others. A data engineer also is likely to have more access to data, which is why they're sending it to you in the first place. They also understand security and privacy of data through the overall data governance strategy. Data engineers can transition to data architect, which covers more systems, more server, and more security strategies for systems across all of the organization. If you want to grow further in this role, you will certainly need to understand more about structured and unstructured data and how to convert it to usable data sets. You'll want to understand the design methodologies of relational database systems, and you will need to understand how to design databases. You'll also want the shared skills of communication, effective presentations, critical thinking, and active listening. These skills will be used to learn how to take hundreds of tables to define them into usable tables for other processes using ETL or ELT, which is extract, transform, and load, or extract, load, and transform. This is how data goes from a production system to a data warehouse, as an example. I believe there is a lot of opportunity for data analysts to pursue this role as they grow deeper in their understanding of data and infrastructure. People often pursue data with the hopes of becoming a data scientist, and I believe it's important to know that not all data professionals grow into data scientists, nor do we need all analysts or engineers to turn into data scientists. Data scientists will likely have all the skills of the analyst, engineer, and they will have likely worked in those roles. However, a data scientist will have a heavier requirement for skills in coding, mathematics, and statistics. A data scientist will be instrumental in developing tools and instruments that provide valuable insight to the organization. but they can't do it alone without all the other roles. Or, well, maybe they can perform the task, but when you don't have all the other roles, the data scientists must perform them. Data scientists or data science teams comprised of all the disciplines will interpret large sets. They'll likely build machine learning models. They'll present outcomes and make suggestions as a portion of what they do. They'll likely be leaders in the data science team. They'll provide support and strategy to the overall data governance plan. If you want to further your skills in this area, you should consider gaining a better understanding of programmatic thinking. You'll want to dive deeper into learning code and maybe start with something like Python. If you have some stats experience or not, you will definitely want to grow in this area. Remember, one of the key differences between data scientists and all other roles is heavier math, coding, and stats. It's also important to remember that for most organizations, having a data scientist and not having all the other roles means that that data scientist is having to perform all those roles before they get to the data science. This is where having a team of multidisciplined people serving all the roles might just be your next play.